and welcome to Let's Talk Spook. I'm your host, Don, and today we are going to talk about The Haunting of the Queen Mary, which I watched on Hulu. But before we get into that, I would like to invite you to leave a comment, a like, a subscription, donate some money, anything like that to help us build this community. We have some big plans coming in the future, but we need a bigger community to execute them. So please do so. If you do leave a comment, please be polite. You guys have been doing really good on that lately, and I'm proud of every one of you. Anyway, so we're going to talk about Haunting a Queen Mary. As per usual on Let's Talk Spook, we break things into 6 separate categories. Those 6 separate categories are story, acting, music, atmosphere, look, and finally creep. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into The Haunting of Queen Mary. So, I didn't like this movie. I was excited. It sounded really good. I asked Jeremiah for something to watch, and he gave me a list. He's like, check these movies out; they all look good. He hadn't seen them, but this was one of them. This was the one on that list that sounded the best for like what I like about horror movies, and it just failed to deliver pretty much entirely. So the story of this movie is following two families, one in 1938, one in modern day. The family in 1938 was on the Queen Mary when an accident occurred, and then in modern day, the Queen Mary is a tourist attraction hotel sort of thing. And this mom, who has an illegitimate son, apparently, that the father really loves, even though it's not really his kid, who has some sort of growth problem, I guess. He looks really small for how old he's supposed to be. The family in the past gets into trouble. They get into some shenanigans on the boat. And so we're following these two families on separate paths as things are happening to them. And it's not really clear what's going on until the very, very end of the movie. For the majority of the movie, I was just sitting there just being like, what? What? Huh? What? The whole movie. It's tough. And for that, I gave the story a 2. I liked what they were doing at the end, but the way they got there was bad, and I didn't like it, so I gave it a 2. Acting is fine, no standout acting, but nothing super bad. So I gave it a 2.5, as per usual for that sort of thing. Music, again, nothing special, so again a 2.5. Atmosphere, I gave it a 2, which is probably a little bit generous. I was engaged because I wanted to understand what was going on, not necessarily because it was good. But I was engaged, so I gave it a little bit. So this is 2. Look, I gave it a 2, which again is generous. I gave it a 2 because the dad of the family in the past was like this creepy master of the whole movie. There's some good gore effects, a couple of spooky things that you see throughout it. So I gave it a 2, but it wasn't overall. There was nothing that like stood out or was really great. So it's not like bad, but it wasn't great. But it's below average for a movie with a budget, right? So a 2. And finally, Creep. I gave this a 1. It didn't scare me. It didn't keep me up at night. It didn't stick with me. It was just a meh. It was a movie. So we tally up the scores. We get a 2.1 out of 5 skulls. So Jared, if you want, you can just round that down to a 2 for the sake of graphics. Although apparently that's not a problem anymore. I don't know. But that being said, I would not recommend this movie. Unfortunately, I wanted to like it, and there's just not enough going for it. And yeah, that's it. Please, if you have any thoughts, you saw the movie, you disagree, you agree, please put it down in the comments. Just be polite. Okay, thanks. Bye.